Oh man, Aaron Rodgers spilling the beans on the Pat McAfee show. I love when this sort of stuff happens. What exactly did the quarterback say and what does it mean? Jets, Jets, Jets! Welcome in, boys and girls. I get excited for this sort of stuff. I love Pat McAfee Tuesdays with Aaron Rodgers because we got these little nuggets and things to talk about. And this one, potentially a doozy. Now, we've talked about Pat McAfee, Aaron Rodgers Tuesdays. Is it good? Is it bad? You know, obviously you get a lot of exposure to your quarterback. You hear a lot of things that maybe other teams don't have the ability to hear because their quarterbacks aren't going on one of the biggest podcasts, sports podcasts in the country. So maybe it's a good thing, maybe it's a bad thing. I think this is a lot of fun. I really like getting the insight into Aaron Rodgers. And this is revolving around some stuff going on. An article that came out from The Athletic about, was it a month ago? I think it was about a month ago now. And it kind of throws the Jets under the bus as far as their culture. Look what they do to bend to Aaron Rodgers' needs and whatnot. And like throwing us through the mud. And of course, this comes out from The Athletic, a publication that has been known to rip on the Jets from time to time. And, well, here, listen, this was the quote originally from it. The Jets, there is complete disarray over there. Look at how they've handled Aaron Rodgers. Has one player ever had more power than him? He skipped minicamp. They have been unable to convert him into a team player. The vibe inside the building is terrible. Which, if you are a Jet fan and you have been watching this for the last year and a half, you can clearly see that is complete and utter nonsense. Aaron Rodgers gave back the biggest amount of money ever in a contract, $35 million, so that way they could sign players that they want to try and compete for a Super Bowl. Let alone he went to every single voluntary workout for the last year and a half, except for 2 mini camps that, like, apparently the team knew he was going to skip anyway. Like, not that big of a deal. Not that big of a deal. And if you're watching everything over the course of the last month since this article came out, you're saying, okay, this makes a lot of sense. Aaron Rodgers is a team player. There is no credibility to this reporting or article, or whatever you want to call it, smear campaign. They've basically just been trying to drag the Jets and Aaron Rodgers through the mud for the last little bit here. But that's not where things get interesting. Now, I guess we'll get into that in just a second. But then, clearly other examples from just this past week against the Patriots. You have Lazard standing up for Aaron Rodgers after he got hit close to out of bounds. Not out of bounds, but close to out of bounds. He's like, hey, look, don't touch my dude. Then you got John Simpson after Breece Hall gets like body slammed after a play, getting up in his face. So like this team is clearly around each other and they're trying to like lift each other up. They're trying to be there. Pat McAfee points out everyone's touching their helmet when they're trying to give a sign on what the defense is doing. That way they're all on the same page. Does that sound like a team that is in complete disarray? I am sorry. This is ridiculous. But this is the part that I find really interesting, and it's this little nugget from Aaron Rodgers.
I would say the culture is about the opposite of what that article said.
No.
I didn't read the article, but just reading that headline there, it sounds like it was written by Haason Reddick's agent in a way to, but former agent, I guess, possibly, in a way to try and disparage our great organization.
Now, a few things to pull apart from there. Obviously, all Jet fans basically said when that article was written, this sounds like the anonymous agent is coming from Haason Reddick's agent. He's pissed off that he didn't get a contract with the Jets. He's trying to leverage this turmoil that the Jets could potentially be in, and that's who came up with it. And lo and behold, our quarterback literally thinks the same exact thing and says his former agent, Tory Dandy from CAA Football, Haason Reddick's agent, possibly former agent now. Yo, if this dude just got fired, especially after Haason Reddick like put out a little bit of a tweet, maybe leaving a little bit of breadcrumbs just a few days ago, this could be some pretty big news. One, I think Haason Reddick's representation has been dragging his reputation through the dirt in a standoff that made no sense at the time. He's compiled $8.3 million worth of fines, and like, he's not getting that back. The Jets are not going to forgive all these fines. I think the Jets can only forgive like $3.5 million, which means instead of the 1 year, $15 million contract he's on, if he decides to come back, he's at like 1 year, $7 million or something like that. So he's clearly not like, it doesn't feel like this is actually going to get solved. But if this is now a former agent, maybe that implies that Haason Reddick is coming to his senses and saying, hey, look, this guy clearly gave me the wrong kind of advice, or whatever. Maybe his own advice, and he's just like, I got to fire someone because I can't make myself look terrible. But either way, this at least tells you it's moving potentially in a direction, either of Haason Reddick just saying, hey, I'm going to get a new deal next year, and you're not going to get the benefit of, me signing that new deal. Or maybe he's working behind the scenes with Joe Douglas after the Patriot game, which is something that a lot of Jet fans sort of said would probably happen. Obviously, 3 games in 11 days, very tough to try and figure out a contract in all, everything that's going on. But then you have this little mini bye week, 10 days, before you face the Broncos. Could Haason Reddick wind up signing a contract this week or next week coming up really before the Buffalo Bill game? That's the game that I've kind of circled as like, this would be really nice to get this guy back for that game. I don't know. It's hard to tell because I still don't think it makes sense unless the Jets are going to sign him to a 2-year deal, because the Jets cannot give him enough money this year with the salary cap space they have to make up for the fine money and give him enough money to like where he feels fairly compensated. So I'm still not fully clear on if Haason Reddick will actually play for the New York Jets, but maybe there's a situation where he winds up getting traded and gets a new contract with his new team. Whatever it is, either way, Aaron Rodgers dropped a little bit of knowledge that I think a lot of Jet fans felt was accurate at the time in Haason Reddick writing that story, and maybe he did wind up getting fired, Tory Dandy did. So guys, let me know in the comment section down below, does Haason Reddick have new representation? Do you think a trade or a contract gets done with Haason Reddick? Let me know in the comment section down below. Leave a green heart if you made it all the way to the end of this video. And as always, go Jets.
Jets!